Welcome to the Called Sister podcast. I am your host, Sarah Verhoef, and today I have a very special guest with me. And I just panicked and looked at your name because I'm like, it's Christensen, but I guess you have a real name too, which is Candace.
Yes.
And she served, well, I'll let her tell you about that, but we met her when we lived in New York. But before we get into that, I just want to invite you to share this podcast with anybody who's considering going out on a mission or to any sister who's come home from a mission or even any woman that you know that could use some uplifting. It's so fun on these podcasts. We're able to bring the spirit really strong and just provide some energy and uplift, and it's just absolutely incredible. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce and welcome my guest, Kandyce Christensen. Christensen, will you tell us where and when you served, please?
Yeah. I served in the Morristown, New Jersey mission, but Wes would be disappointed if I didn't say I got to serve in New York as well.
Absolutely.
I served from 20 November of 2016 to April of 2018. So that was pre where you couldn't wear pants, couldn't call home to your family every week. It was a good time. It was like a couple months after I got home, they're like, "Oh, you can call your family every week." I said, "Oh, okay."
How did you feel about that?
Um, it was really good for me to not call my
Yeah.
family every week. I needed to learn how to be independent from them and stuff, but it was so good because my sister was preparing to go, and
Hmm.
it was so good for her to be able to call home every week. And
It's
so,
interesting. Yeah, I
yeah.
immediately was just like, "Ah, why do you guys get to call home? Like we get to go home twice a
Yeah.
year and use snail mail." But now having a missionary out, it's helpful. Well, and then even Nikki was out after that change. And I think it's really helpful for the people at home to feel more connected
Oh,
to their missionary.
absolutely.
So sometimes I think Cora's like, she's like, I want to play volleyball. And we're like, are you even gonna call us? She's like, I will a little bit. So,
She's
so
like,
that's
"I'm
okay.
busy."
Yeah, no, seriously. We actually have
Yeah.
a lady in our ward here who served in the Morristown, New Jersey mission.
Oh,
Like, what?
no
So we were talking about all
way.
sorts of stuff. It was really, really cool. Yeah. So,
Oh,
did you always want to serve a mission?
no, I did
No.
not actually. So, when I was 16, I was real mad at the world. I actually did not want to go on a mission. I went to church because that's the rule at my
Mhm.
parents' house. Like, you live under the roof, you get to choose what seat you sit in on the way to church. That's what you get to choose.
That's your
And
choice.
so and so I kind of, yeah, I kind of went with them and stuff. And then like the age change happened from 21 to 19.
Okay.
And my older brother was so excited and he's like, "I'm gonna go. I can't wait to go." And I was like, "Oh, maybe I do want to go." And then my younger sister was like, "I'm gonna go." And I was like, "Well, I can't have my younger sister show me up, so I better pray about this." And so I prayed about it and I decided, I was like, "Oh yeah, this is gonna be good. I'm gonna do that." So then I prepared for a while. I turned 18 my senior year of high school, so I didn't have to wait that long after graduating before I turned 19. And so got my mission call while we were on trek. Had to wait like 3 whole days before I could open it. In my pictures, I'm like all sunburned and stuff because of walking through the desert. It was crazy.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So you didn't want to, and then everybody else wanted to, so you're like, fine, I'll do it. I'll
Yeah, fine.
pray.
I
And
guess I'll
God was
pray
like,
about
okay.
it.
That's a really big decision to like not want to be shown up.
Yeah,
So
I know.
that's
I'm
interesting.
not the healthiest, but you know,
So did you
it
feel,
got
go ahead.
it got me out of my stubborn head to do it though, because I'm a
Okay.
very stubborn human. So
Okay. So even though you went to church just because that was the rule, in order to
hmm.
choose to serve a mission, like there had to have been some sort of testimony there, right? It seems.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I knew when I had prayed about it and God was like very, very much like, "You need to go on a mission." I was like, "I have a lot of work to do before I can go then."
Oh, okay.
And so I started to pay attention in seminary. I actually started to read my scriptures for me and not just because we were doing it for family stuff. And so over those next couple of years, I just really focused on my relationship with God.
Mhm.
And it it changed, and I'm so glad for that stubborn little push of like, oh, I can't have my little sister show me up, to like, oh my gosh, no, I like really want to do this for me. Like this is going to make me a better friend. This is going to make me a better sister. This is going to make me a better mother when the time comes, a better wife when the time comes. And so it like changed my whole perspective, and by the time I left I was doing it for myself, not to be not to be shown up by my little sister, which was a really big change of heart for me, which was kind of crazy.
That's really cool. And I love that you said that you noticed it would be helpful in the future. So now you are in the
Mhm.
future, like almost 10 years, which
Yeah.
is insane.
I know. I
From when
know,
you
it's
left.
crazy.
I know, crazy, right? So how has serving a mission helped you? Because now you are future. Back then
Yes.
you weren't. But
Yeah.
have you
Yeah,
have
I
you seen
think,
that it has helped?
oh my gosh, in so many different ways. I think my friendships are much better because I know how to communicate, because like you live with your companion, and they're not always the funnest to be around, but they're also some of the greatest people that you've met in your life. Like, and so I think it's helpful in friendships. I also believe it's helped my family, like my family dynamic a lot, because I'm able to communicate with my mom and my family so much better. I also think it's helped me in callings that I've had since I've been home. I was
Okay.
able to serve in young women's, and like watching, like being able to teach those lessons, because there's not a lot of fear anymore to teach a lesson, because sometimes you were just pulling things out of nowhere as a missionary, and
Mhm.
then now like you get to church and you're like, oh, no one prepared a lesson, you're like, oh, okay, let's do this, like. And so I love that, as well as the testimony that I built with my savior in that 18 months was crazy. And whenever I'm feeling low and like having a hard time, I just immediately fall back to that testimony when I was 19 years old in a new state, felt like a new country because it's a lot different than Utah.
Very
And
different.
like just all of those things, like I'm just like, remember when you were 19 and you did all of these hard things and it was because Jesus helped you? Like, you can do this. Like, it's going to be okay. And so that's something that I think about a lot, is just like, it's going to be okay because you did hard things before and you can do them again.
That's awesome. I love that you remember it that way. I had a guest on not too long ago, and after we got off the call, she actually said, "This is so cool to talk about my mission," because she said, "I left my family and I went somewhere that nobody knew, to a different country, to different everything. Nobody I knew was there, like no friends, no family, nothing." And then when I got back on the plane and come home, it was like, did this really even happen? And I thought that was a really interesting way to put it. I didn't even think of it that way until she put it that way. Did you have, because you said I realized I could do really hard things. So either going there or coming back, did you have feelings like that? Like, did what I do just happen?
Absolutely. Sometimes I feel
Did
like
you?
my mission felt like a fever dream. Like,
Hmm.
sometimes I'm like, did that really happen? And then I see people from my mission like you, like when I came and visited a couple of years ago, I was like, oh my gosh, that really did happen. Like, I have this connection with these people that I love so much. And it
Yeah.
like, so it just is so cool that like something that prepared me for, someone called like missions like the MTC for life.
Hmm.
And like, because you only get like 3 weeks in the missionary training center, right? And then like the MTC for life is 18 months. And
Yeah.
I'm just so thankful that I get to like look back on that and see those things. And I think also looking at the pictures the other day, when you texted me and were like, do you want to come on the podcast? I was like looking at some pictures and I was like, oh my gosh, this really happened. Like, these are my people. Like, I love them. I still love them. I miss them. Like, so that's been really cool, of like going from like, did this really happen, to like reminiscing about them and like feeling like, oh my gosh, this did happen. And like listening to the podcast also has been like, oh my gosh, we're like, this really did happen and people are really talking about it in like a really cool space. And I'm thankful for that. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah.
What is something that surprised you on your mission? Either an experience or something that you
Mm.
learned that you were like, wow, I had no idea mission was going to either bring this up or allow this experience to happen for me?
Yeah. Um, I was not a very busy person before I left on my mission. Like I went
Okay.
to school and I came home. I worked and stuff, but I wasn't like super duper busy. Didn't have every minute of every day planned out. And I remember like going on the mission, I had my cute trainer, Tiffany Bruner. She
Yeah.
served like right before I came
Hmm.
to the area that you're in, but she was training me and she was like, "Okay, we're gonna make a plan, and then we're gonna make a backup plan." And I was like, "This is crazy." I'm very type B. I don't plan my days like that, and so I think it was very like the organizational skills that I like had. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is like really surprising to me." Like I wasn't expecting this. I don't know what I was expecting, but I was not expecting like having every moment of my day planned up with a backup plan too. And some days I would come home and I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so tired." But that was the
Right?
best tired. That
Oh my
was
gosh.
the best tired was missionary tired.
Oh, it's like a full mind, body, soul, spirit, everything, just exhaustion. I think the only thing that comes close to it, and you don't know this yet, that is being pregnant. Like that is just
Oh,
it's entirely consuming, which would make sense, right? Because when you're pregnant,
yeah.
you have another human you're taking care of, and when you're on your mission, you're fully in the service of
Yeah.
God. Yeah. What have been some of the
Yeah.
challenges like after coming home from your mission?
There have been many, that is for sure. I think
Yay!
it's
Don't we love
I think it's
challenges?
interesting. Woo! I
Yay!
think it's very interesting coming home. Like, I remember that first like 2 years afterwards, I was like, "I hate this. I do not wanna I wanna go
Can I
back
go
on my
back?
mission, like, I
Right?
wanna be
Yeah.
here."
Let me go back to what I
Like, "Can I
know
go
is
back?"
normal.
Like exactly, like, I let me go back to, like, just serving God because, like, now you have to do all of these things for, like, yourself. You have to, like, figure out what you wanna do with your life. You have to get a job. You have to date. Ugh. And, like, that's always so difficult. Um, I think I think it would be fabulous if they had, like, an MTC for coming home to prepare you
Right?
for
An
regular life
RMTC.
before
Been
you,
I've been
like
preaching that
yeah, an
forever. Yeah.
RMTC,
How to be
because I
normal
think it
again.
how to be normal again. I know they're trying with, like, a My Plan situation that
Mhm.
they have where they're, like, plan what you're gonna do, but they don't prepare you for the plans that you have in your head to, like,
Mhm.
not happen
Mm,
sometimes, and I think
okay.
that's where I struggled really, really hard because I was gonna come home, I was gonna go to college, like regular college, and
Hmm.
I was gonna meet a boy there, and I was gonna get married, and I was gonna have 3 babies by the time I was 30, like, that was my plan. I was like, "It's
Okay.
set in stone, that's what we're gonna do," like, I went on my mission, I fulfilled my promises to God, it's his turn now, like, it's
Right.
time, and, like, that was not God never explicitly told me that that's what was gonna happen in my life, but
But
in
it
my
was
brain,
obvious. I mean, that
that
was
was
how
like,
it worked.
"God, that's how it works." And I got home and I tried the whole college thing. I hated it. It was
Mm.
horrible for me. Like, it just didn't work out. Like, it just every time I, like, tried, it, like, just kept shooting me down, and I was, like, so discouraged because I was like, "Well, how am I gonna become what I need to become without college? Because I hated this." And then dating has been very frustrating over the past, like, 8 years, like, it's just been up and down and definitely not all that I was expecting. I was
Mm.
expecting to come home and, like, meet that nice return missionary man
Gonna be easy.
and get married and have 3 babies, and that's
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be easy. It's gonna be like, "I already did the hard part, this is gonna be easy now," and it's not, and I don't think that they prepare you necessarily for that.
Yeah.
But I do think the things that I learned from my mission of like, okay, I planned out my whole day, but I also planned out a whole plan B for like my day. And I think that that definitely has prepared me for life, which is something that surprised me a lot in the beginning of my mission. And now it's something that I like rely on frequently. It's like, okay, plan A didn't work. We're going to try plan B. And just like going forward in faith with that has been interesting. I did end up going to school and now I'm a cosmetologist and I love that. And it was not a traditional college, it was a tech school and
Mhm.
not what I had planned in my life at all, but I absolutely love it. Like it's one of my favorite things. I get to help people feel so much better about themselves. And in some ways, like, we have some really deep spiritual conversations that I would not be prepared for if I didn't serve a mission, which has been
Okay.
so fun. And then in my dating life, I know that it hasn't been everything that I was expecting it to be. Um, but I'm thankful for that because I have learned so much about me as a human being, and I've learned how to be my mission self and my normal human people self at the same time, which has been so
Mhm.
crazy. And I think if that would have happened 6 years ago, I don't think I would be where I am today. I've learned so much and I still have so much to learn. And I'm going to be a better wife and a better mother because of it eventually when that day does come. When I
I love
do meet
that.
that nice return missionary boy.
Right. Come on, get on it, man. I love that you said that you're blending your like normal self and your mission self. That's something that I know that Wes and I have talked a lot about um, with missionaries and just with people is like having you have like a church self and a work self and a home self, and we're just like dividing ourselves into all these pieces when
Hmm.
really we ought to just be one. I mean, when the Savior taught, no matter who he was teaching, he was always him. You know, he was always
Yeah.
kind, even when people were horrible or when they were nice or whatever, he was always kind. And so I love that you're learning to blend, like to be you kind of no matter where you are and having those spiritual
Yeah.
conversations. It's cool when you touch someone because you're physically having your hands on them, like
Yeah.
like what I do with massage. And there's such a vulnerability that
Hmm.
happens where they just feel, like they can share. So that's cool that you get to have spiritual conversations as well. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I love
it's
that you're doing that.
it's been one of my favorite things is like it's been one of my favorite things to be able to like share that. And I feel sometimes when I'm like doing someone's hair and all of a sudden we get talking about like the plan of salvation and stuff because like they had someone that passed away, it
Mm.
like it takes me right back. I'm like, oh my gosh, remember when I got to sit in that living room and teach the plan of salvation to one of my friends? Like, just so cool. Like, I just think my mission is just a big part of my mosaic of life. Like, you know how they say like you get different things in your mosaic of life. My mission is just like this ginormous piece that I just am so thankful
Mhm.
for. Like, what a cool thing.
Yeah, it really is. It's awesome. And it's cool. I was realizing it recently. It's like you're tithing of your life. And I don't know, I hadn't ever realized that before, but at the age that you go, it is. It's like a tenth of your life that you're giving
It
up. And so
is.
it's really cool that you're able to do that. You said, I remember when I was in this living room teaching the plan of salvation. Are there any mission experiences that are just like top of mind as like a favorite experience, something that
Ooh,
you draw on kind of specifically?
one of my favorite experiences, um, ooh, there was this man that we taught. His name was John in the Caldwell ward, and he was the cutest little old man ever. He just loved to sit and listen. We would always have our lessons outside, and we just got to talk about so many beautiful things with him out in nature, just sitting there and just chatting. And he was the best. Whenever he came to church, he was so excited to be there. He's like, "Oh my gosh, sisters, we're here!" Like, and he just was the sweetest man. I just love him so much. And I every lesson that we had with him was so fun and so spiritual. And I think about the joy that I saw in his face every single time that we were able to go and teach him. And one of my favorite things ever is that we got to go to the temple with him. So
Hmm.
he got baptized, and then he went and did baptisms for the dead, and he did it for his dad, and it was
Oh.
the sweetest thing ever, and I will never forget that. Just that those tender mercies and those things that you get to see, like, one day John will get to be with his family forever because I was willing to give up my family for 18 months. And that's something that is so important to me is having a forever family. And I'm so thankful that that happened and that I was able to be there for John.
That's awesome. I love that you got to do that with him. And that's such a neat correlation that he will get to have his family forever because you gave yours up for a little while. That's neat. I never really put that together before. So that's a really beautiful correlation. Um, this is maybe a weird question, but it came to me, and so I'm curious. You can share what you'd like, or you can say, "Hard pass,
Yeah.
Sarah, knock it off, leave me alone." Um, was it difficult? Let's see, how do I want to phrase this? I think the way that we ask questions is really important. So if I ask it poorly, you can say, "Sarah, try again." But was it difficult? Were there struggles at home that made it difficult for you to stay on your mission? I think is a good way to put it.
Yes, there were. So I actually almost didn't go on my mission because someone incredibly close to me um, decided they didn't want to live on this earth anymore.
Hmm.
And it was really, really scary. It was like I went to the temple and then the next day this happened. And so it was really scary because I was like, how am I supposed to leave this person when I feel like they need me more than ever?
Hmm. Yeah.
And it was so scary. It was so, so scary. And I just kept praying about it and praying about it. And finally, like, I was like, no, she needs me to go. She needs me to show her that this is very important. Like I love my savior and this is why I'm doing this. And even though it's going to be hard, especially since I didn't get to call home every week, I
Yeah.
talked to them on Christmas and Mother's Day, and
Hmm.
then in emails that they never replied to. Like,
Right.
for at least for the first 6 months, she was really mad at me. She was like, "You chose God over me, and I am not thrilled with that." And like that was so hard for a long time. Um, but then so I left in November, right? And so
Mhm.
when Christmas time came, the 2 weeks leading up to Christmas, my heart was just so heavy because I was like, "She's going through a hard time, I can feel it." Like, I
Yeah.
know she's going through a hard time, and I just prayed for her extra. And when I finally got to talk to her on Christmas, I was like, "Hey, have you been having a hard time the past 2 weeks?" And she's like, "Yeah." I said, I know. I've felt it. Like,
Hmm.
I know that you're having a hard time." And she goes, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, "I've been praying for you. I'm, like, hoping that you're doing well, and I hope that you know that I love you so much even though I'm so far away right now, and I'm always here for you. Please, I'm an email away." And it was incredibly hard sometimes because I could feel when she was having a hard time. The spirit is so crazy. Like, when
Hmm.
you're that close to God, the spirit is so crazy. And
Yeah.
I just knew that when she needed help, I would send an extra email just to her and be like, "Hey, I'm thinking about you. Like, are you okay?" And so there were some of those times that were really, really difficult because I knew that she was struggling so bad, but I knew that I was where I was supposed to be.
Thank you for sharing that. I know that's
Yeah,
really vulnerable. I remember sitting and having conversations with you about that, and it was pretty intense for sure. So
it was.
like, what type of advice would you give someone who maybe is in a similar situation where either they've received their call or they
Yeah.
really feel inspired to serve a mission and to put in their papers, but they're looking around and they're like, either best friends or close relatives, and they're like, but if I leave, will everything fall apart? Which I imagine is part of maybe what
Yeah.
you were feeling. Like, what kind of advice or
Yeah.
suggestions or guidance would you give to somebody who's feeling that way?
Mhm. I think my biggest fear when I was leaving her is that I wouldn't see her again.
Mm,
That was my biggest fear. And so God and I had a lot of conversations before I left. I was like, "Okay, I want to do this for you, but I need you to help me to be okay with whatever outcome happens."
mhm.
Because I didn't want to, like, put it on him to, like, protect her, like, make sure nothing happens to her, keep her in
Right.
a bubble wrap while
Yeah.
I'm gone, like,
Here's the
that
rules while
because
I'm
that's
gone. So you hold up your end
here's
of
the
the deal.
rules,
Yeah.
like, yes, and I that unfortunately, that's just not how God's plan works,
Yeah.
and as well as God gave us our agency, and so regardless of what he did, she got to choose. She got to
Mhm.
choose what happened. And so I had lots of conversations like, "Please help me to be okay with whatever happens
Mhm.
because I am going to serve you." And I need to focus on that with all of my heart, and that means that I need you to keep a watchful eye over her, and I need
Yeah.
you to help me to be okay with whatever might happen, because and that was really, really, really difficult, and I remember giving her an extra big hug when I left, just because that was my biggest fear, is
Yeah.
not seeing her again. But I do think it goes back to when I was teaching John, is I had to leave my family for a little bit so he could be with his family forever, and I think having that eternal perspective really was the is the best advice that I could give somebody, is having an eternal perspective that, like, you are just leaving for a moment, and,
Hmm.
like, things are gonna happen even though you think when you're on your mission that everyone's on pause. You're gonna come
Right.
back and they're gonna be the same height, they're gonna be the same person that they were, and then you get home 18 months later and your little brother is like a foot taller than you. And it's crazy
Yeah.
because you're like, no, that you were on pause. Like,
You're
what the
right.
heck?
Yeah. What
But,
happened? Somebody hit play.
but
That was not
like,
okay.
yeah, yeah. And so I just think, I just think having that eternal perspective is
Mhm.
truly what helped me, and was I was able to focus on it, as well as asking God to help me be okay with whatever happened,
Yeah.
was another big thing, and I think that's honestly why I could feel when she was having those hard times, is because
Mhm.
then I feel like God was saying, like, "Hey, she's having a harder time, like, please, like, reach out to her."
Yeah.
Like, and so I think there are so many miracles and so many blessings that you see on your mission, that you just have to trust God with all
Yeah.
of your heart, and hope for the best and pray for the best, and be okay with the outcome that happens.
Awesome. Yeah. Eternal perspective is big. I remember teaching that in seminary where you'd like take off the old frame of this picture and put in like a really beautiful frame. And I appreciate that you said that life doesn't pause and things continue to happen and hard things happen. I know that there
Mm,
are deaths while missionaries are on missions and divorces and and also really positive things. There's weddings and babies and there's lots of things. Life does continue while you're on your mission. And it's neat because I feel like God somehow he doesn't make it even, but he kind of makes up for it somehow if
mhm.
we allow him to. And it's interesting because while you were talking about that, I kept thinking of I don't know if you've ever played Super Mario Brothers. Like I don't play a lot of video games. My brother
Absolutely,
did
yeah.
all the time growing up, and it just seems like as soon as you beat that boss at the end of the level, and then you're like, oh, I
Yeah,
can breathe. And then it's like the dang swimming level where you're like, just like
where you have
panicking.
to, like, press the button.
You're like, I thought I just made it past something hard, and I'm like sweating because I'm trying to swim.
Yeah,
And I feel like that
uh-huh,
that happens, I mean, in life, but also in a mission,
absolutely.
You're like, I've put in my papers, I'm going to serve, I'm doing what Heavenly Father has asked me to do. And so now, it should be smooth sailing. And then sometimes we have
Mhm,
hard companions, and sometimes we get sent to an area that doesn't like missionaries or doesn't like sister missionaries, or,
mhm,
something goes on at home or
yeah,
whatever happens. And so we get to keep experiencing life, don't we, when we're
yeah,
on mission?
yep, yep,
It's not
yes,
always easy.
absolutely. I definitely feel that way in life, of, like, I just finished one hard thing, like, can we, like, slow down a little bit? Oh, no, that, yeah.
And you're just
I
like, oh
feel that.
shoot, no, I just leveled up and now the boss is like even bigger. What's happening? No, I want to go back. Can I go back?
Oh, yes.
Oh, Candace, thank you so much for coming today. This has been absolutely
Ah,
amazing. Before we wrap up though, I always like to end with is there any either piece of advice or something that your heart is feeling led or called to share with the ladies who are listening, or maybe even just one listener in specific? Are you
yeah,
feeling like you'd like to tell them anything?
um, I just want to share that, like, our Savior Jesus Christ loves you no matter what stage of life that you're in. Whether you are praying to go on a mission, whether you are praying to have strength on your mission, or even afterwards, whether you're waiting for some blessings to come that you're hoping for with all of your heart, our Savior Jesus Christ loves you, and He is so proud of you for everything that you do. And that is something that I remind myself of daily as I'm waiting for some blessings to come that haven't come yet, as I am actively trying to become the best person that I can be so that I'm ready when those blessings are here. Um, and God knows you and He loves you and He knows the best time for you. His timing is everything, whether His timing is telling you to go on a mission because you're listening to this podcast, or whether His timing is telling you, like, it's time to get back out there and try dating, it's time to try a different schooling, or it's time to try a different approach with that really hard companion. I just think He knows you the best and He is going to give you the best advice and He is your best friend. And so just continue to pray to Him and don't let go of that faith and that hope. And for all of the return sister missionaries, like, He loves you just as much as He did when you were on your mission. Like, just pray and just ask, and He is so happy to help.
Mm.
And don't be stubborn like me, and just pray and just ask for help and He'll be there. So
Well, I
I
love
think
it.
that's all. Yeah.
Thank you. I was actually, I often will ask people to share their testimony at the end as well, but I feel like that's what you just did.
Oh,
Like you have,
well,
it was just so beautiful, just that
oh,
testimony of Jesus Christ loving you where you're at, and Heavenly Father being there wherever you're at. And I think it's neat to hear that because I think we try really hard to share that with people, but for whatever reason, sometimes it lands different when someone else says it.
yeah.
And so I appreciate you saying that. And He loves you. I love that you said He loves you just as much now as He did when you were serving your mission. You didn't
Yes.
become less lovable because you came
Mhm.
home or because you're
Yep,
struggling. He
yep.
absolutely still loves you. So thank you so much for
Yeah,
coming, for
thank
sharing
you.
your testimony and your experiences of being on the mission. I know we
Yeah.
loved having you in our home then
Oh,
and a couple years ago when you visited, and
I know.
hopefully again soon. That'll be so
Hopefully
amazing.
soon,
I
yes.
know, it'll be
Yes,
awesome.
thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you for
creating this
coming.
space. Yeah, thanks for creating this space that we get to come and share about these things that we don't get to talk about very much, so thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah,
You're
let's
you're
normalize talking about our missions as return
Mhm.
sister missionaries. It's cool. In the ward I'm in right now, there are the most return sister missionaries of any ward I've ever been in. Usually I'm the only one, but oh my gosh, there are so many in our ward. And so I
That's
love
so cool.
seeing it's actually something Wes and I talked about when the age changed. I was like, can you imagine, like, so many parents now are going to be both husband and wife return missionaries? Like
Yeah,
how fortified are those families going to be, because of the experiences that
oh,
you've had on your mission and the ways that you understand
yeah,
the closeness that you have with God, at least even to come back
mhm,
to, because sometimes when you get home from a mission,
yeah,
you're not so in it. It's easy to kind of stray, but that foundation.
mhm,
So yeah, that's,
absolutely,
thank you. I'm happy that
absolutely.
you're enjoying this
Yes.
this podcast, and I love
Yes,
having
I
you here.
am.
And you said
So
yes. I
good.
was so excited.
Yeah.
So also,
I
if
was
you're
so happy
listening
when
to
you
this
reached out to say
podcast and you're a return sister missionary, reach out to me. Let me know that you'd love to be on
Mhm.
this podcast, because I reach out to as many people as I can think of, and then I'm like, oh wait, I got to reach out to this person. So if you have the idea to come be on this podcast, please join me. I would love to talk with you. This is such an incredible part of my day where I get to reminisce and really feel the spirit strong. So thank you again, Candace, for coming, and thank you to all of
Yes.
our listeners. Make sure that you share this episode and get the word out that we are talking with sister missionaries, and we get to share experiences, and we love you, and we just hope you have the best day. Bye.